When I was talking about this movie, I thought I'd put on a digital mustache. Actually, kind of looks pretty good. I thought I'd put one on because, this version this version of the movie definitely has it. In all technicality and all silliness and all everything, here we are. We're finally here. I'm here to talk about spoilers and non-spoilers of the Justice League, the Zack Snyder's Justice League. I thought I'd put up this cool digital background as a fun way of doing that. So first half of this is going to be non-spoiler, and I'll talk a little spoilers after. I'm not going to get into the behind the scenes of this right now. I'll save that for another video. But basically, in very short, there's the Justice League movie that I just showed you a second ago, which I do own. That came out a couple of years ago, and that movie was massively reshot, and it was weirdly edited and condensed down to 2 hours after Zack Snyder had to leave the project due to the unfortunate and untimely death of his daughter. Now, a number of years later, due to a fan campaign, we have the completed film. It was complete then, in 2017, and it is complete now. A 4-hour version of Justice League. So what did I think of it? I absolutely loved it. I've seen the movie now about 3 times. I say about because I watched a number of reviews too, and people have spliced in footage and everything. I've 3 times me watching it, but multiple viewings of just watching reactions of people talking about it too. And I wanted to do this video now instead of back, a number of days ago when I first watched the movie, because I wanted to really let it sink in. And I wanted to think about what I wanted to talk about. Like I said, I think the movie's great. I think it's amazing. Simply, bam, 9 out of 10. Loved it. That all being said, this movie has so much better pacing, much better character development. It has the character development that was initially there. And it's kind of mind-boggling that they decided to take a lot of these scenes out, which I'll get to mostly in the spoiler section. And I'll put up a spoiler warning when that stuff comes up. The film is, for a 4-hour movie, mind you, and there are not many movies that are this long. Avengers Endgame is 3 hours long, and the extended editions of Lord of the Rings movies are 3.5, 4 hours long themselves. But nothing quite matches what this movie is. It is a direct sequel to Batman v Superman and Man of Steel, even giving us a glimpse of the end of Batman v Superman in the way that Batman v Superman gives us a glimpse to the end of Man of Steel. The film is incredibly well paced for 4 hours, and it's broken into 6 distinct chapters. So it's quite interesting to see what was the theatrical cut, the ridiculous and crass, stupid jokes, frankly, they added.
My Howard is a good man. He's a provider. And these aliens are gonna probe him?
He said that you were the thirstiest young woman he ever met.
Yeah. Oh, something is definitely bleeding.
Mustache thing I put on earlier was a joke to that, because they had to digitally remove Henry Cavill's mustache, Superman. They had to remove his mustache in post-production because he was filming the Mission Impossible movie at the time. It's amazing that this film now, in its entirety, in its full glory, really exists. And Zack Snyder should be commended for everything he's done with this. I think that this movie is a genuine masterwork. It's a masterpiece, frankly. Flawed, I think it has some flaws, and I think it's a little overlong at times. There's a version of this movie that's about 3 hours long that is just clicking. And there's some scenes you probably could have taken out, I think, especially towards the end. But I would just have to give this movie all the props in the world, because rarely does a movie live up to its hype. And this is an example of a movie definitely living up to the hype. There was a version of the movie. It wasn't obviously complete, necessarily. All the shots were there. But the visual effects, this movie is peppered with visual effects. It was all there to begin with, years ago. And it's amazing that we now, unfortunately, years later, are getting this, and we'll probably not even get a sequel. I believe Warner Brothers has kind of stated that this is the end. for this. You know, we gave the fans what they wanted, but now everybody's kind of like, dude, you have to make a sequel to this because everybody likes this movie at this point, you know? And I think Zack Snyder's made films, and I'll talk about this in other videos, he's made films that are kind of ahead of their time and maybe not as appreciated in their time, because you got to think DC was trying to make these movies and Snyder was trying to make these movies in a time when Marvel was making their cinematic universe. I mean, the first movie, Man of Steel, came out in 2013, a year after the first Avengers movie came out. So it's interesting just to see the evolution of all that. I think this movie is amazing. I like favorite characters. I mean, I really like Ben Affleck's Batman. I really do. It's a different Batman portrayal, and it's an older Batman than we've seen before. But I like his dynamic with all the characters. Wonder Woman, she's great. Cyborg was amazing. The Flash was funnier. And the jokes that are even in the other version of the movie land better here. Superman is, when he's in the movie, he's clicking. And Aquaman, I loved his solo movie, and I really like this movie as well with him. I feel like all of these characters have a much better dynamic, and when they come together, it's just it sings. The movie really sings. There's moments I think that work and massively work, especially with some certain characters, and there's moments I think don't work as well. And really towards the end, there's some tacked on scenes. I'll get into that in the spoiler section. But overall, my overall thoughts of the movie are, it's great. I would definitely recommend you watch it. Again, it's broken into parts. You can watch it over the span of a day or two. I can't wait for this movie to come out on Blu-ray. I'm going to buy it. It looks amazing. One thing I will say, the 4:3 aspect ratio. Reason it's there, it was shot that way. It was made to look that way. You're not missing any of the image. You're actually seeing more of the image. It's not in the widescreen or anything like that. So, in my opinion, it looks really, really good. Snyder really knows. You'll see the framing of the shots and everything. And it's meant to look like IMAX footage, because it kind of is IMAX footage. He just didn't shoot it on IMAX. And I hope one day when this will be released in theaters at some point. I obviously can't wait to see it on the big screen, because it'll look amazing. He shot it on film, so I mean it'll look great. Yeah, I can't really say much more else, you know, without spoiling the movie at this point. So spoilers down below. Let's just kind of dive right into it. It opens with the death of Superman from the last movie, but in different perspective, and we see the ring of his yell, the sound wave of his yell across the universe, really across the earth, really, and how it wakes up the mother boxes, which are much, you know, better explained here than they were previously. I'm not going to make all the comparisons in the world here, but just the opening of this movie is 1,000 times better than the CGI'd face, you know, that we got before. It just works. It works a lot better. We see Batman go and recruit Aquaman. I didn't mention the score before, but the score was really good. Junkie XL, Tom Holkenborg, his score was a lot better. And I liked it because it evokes the Man of Steel theme. There's like a new Batman theme in there. I like the Flash's music, Cyborg's music, Aquaman's music even. And Wonder Woman's theme is like elaborated on and extended on a lot better. And I like the musical continuity between the three Snyder films. And I really like the three Snyder films. Batman v Superman, Man of Steel, and this. I really do. And it feels like this epic kind of story that we're getting. And I really liked it. I felt it was genuinely great. Yeah, I mean, it's just from that opening, just the opening of seeing the crux of what starts the plot, you know, with the mother boxes, it rings so much better than before. We see Batman try to recruit Aquaman, and he fails in doing so. But all the scenes that had humor before, or attempts at humor, are a lot better explained and a lot better put together here. I don't know why they cut as much as they did out. But also, Snyder, with the aspect ratio, it works because there's elements that you're seeing work a lot better in that full, taller frame. The movie sounds great too. So we see that. We see the Wonder Woman saving the people from the terrorist scene. That's a little more elaborated on. It's a lot more violent. The movie is rated R, but it feels a lot more genuine. And there's a moment at the end when this little girl asks,
Can I be like you someday?
You can be anything you want to be. Come on, let's go.
why are you taking that stuff out of the other version? And I'll say that throughout the whole thing. Cyborg's backstory is a lot more elaborated on. It is elaborated on. It is the movie. I know a lot of people have said this. It's the heart and soul of what this film really is. His story, and I think the entire story of this film rings true with what's happened in the real world. There's, Batman, Bruce Wayne even has a line. It's like, I spent a lot of time trying to divide us, and now I want to bring us together. So something to that effect.
It has to do with him. I made a promise to him on his grave. I spent a lot of time trying to divide us. I need to bring us together and make this right.
All of these people have interesting issues that they have to deal with. The Flash has his father who's in jail. Cyborg's father and he have a very kind of weird dynamic following both what happened to Cyborg and the death of his mother. Batman, we already know his family is gone, and in the events previously we've seen in the other films. Same with Wonder Woman. She's kind of closed herself off from the world for a long time, which isn't consistent with 1984, but we're not talking about that movie. And same with Aquaman. He's a product of two worlds, part human, part Atlantean, and he doesn't know whether to take up his mother's trident or not. He really is the true king of Atlantis, and we see a lot of that stuff play out. This movie also extends a lot better into the Aquaman solo movie, which is great, by the way. Just everything in the movie, and the fact that this movie, again, had been sitting on the cutting room floor for so long, or just kind of sitting there. It's kind of interesting just to see that the movie is really genuinely as great as it really is. The 4 hours, again, like I said, they move by. All the moments with Superman feel a lot better. The introduction of, and I didn't mention him in the non-spoiler section, but Steppenwolf is a much better fleshed out villain. His CGI looks a lot better here, and his facial expressions look a lot better, as well as introducing Desaad and Darkseid. The entire Age of Heroes sequence, flashback, Lord of the Rings style thing, works a lot better here. The movie, I'm really excited about this movie, and I'm so glad that Snyder got to make it. The man makes epic movies. Man of Steel, and I said this in a comment of one of my friend's posts the other day when he was like, I don't know, should I watch these movies? Because he's felt very indifferent about them, and he did a whole James Bond rewatch, and I told him, I'm like, you need to go back and watch these movies. With the open mind, you need to have an open mind on them, but go back and rewatch these movies and just see. Man of Steel to me is a banger. That movie, it just goes, and I really like the way that movie flies. No pun intended, but the movie does. It sings. It's wonderful. Zimmer's score, the action, the veracity of it. I love General Zod. I love when he yells his lines. On top of that, I love the fact that you have in Batman v Superman, the way that movie opens. I love Lex Luthor in that movie. I know not a lot of people do, but I do, and I like the way that the films have gone about a newer interpretation of these characters. Flash has the best Flash in the original movie, the theatrical cut, just saves this Russian family that are living in an irradiated town. Okay, that's a thing. It's a choice. In this version, he saves the freaking world. Okay. I don't know why you cut that, but he saves the world. And maybe the last thing I'll say here, and I'll make other videos, but also I just don't want this to be too long. But, I think the movie ends at a nice point. It does the epilogue, and all the parts are broken up really well, very nicely. Um, the sacrifice of Cyborg's father is also great, and all his backstory, and I'll get more into that and other stuff. But there's so much to talk about this movie. The scene with him and the waitress is beautiful. It's beautiful. It's so beautiful. Um, the way the movie ends, I think is I have like 4 scenes in the movie. I'm like, I don't need. I'm glad they're here, but I don't need this part of it. About 4, maybe 5 scenes I don't need. I didn't need the ladies singing in the beginning to an Aquaman leaves. I didn't necessarily need it. I didn't find it terrible or anything, but I didn't need it. I didn't need the 2 Martian Manhunter scenes, especially the one at the end. There's 3 scenes at the end that feel the Lex Luthor scene, a nightmare scene with the Joker, and a Martian Manhunter second cameo. He talks to Bruce Wayne. I didn't need those 3 scenes. They feel like post-credit scenes that Snyder just didn't want to put in the post-credits. Movie should have ended on the prologue when Silas Stone is talking and he's doing his thing, and Superman opens his shirt up, and you see the S, cut to black, music fades, credits. That's when the movie should have ended. And there's, again, like I said, there's a 3-hour cut of this movie that if you can kind of chop some things out, the movie's clicking. But I think that the amazing part is you have these couple of scenes. They still work at the end. I like the Lex Luthor scene. The nightmare scene with the Joker is quite interesting, and the scene with Martian Manhunter is interesting. But I think they're not entirely necessary. But the movie, again, it moves really well, and that's my one gripe. I think there's a couple of scenes that just it kind of ends on a meh at the end. But it's not. All the goodwill the movie's set up is more than justifying those 3 scenes, and I'm totally fine with it. That's why I give it a 9 out of 10. Like I thought it was great. It's like a flawed masterpiece. This movie's long, but it doesn't feel long, and it's a little overlong, and it overstays its welcome just a little bit at the end. But I think like that's it. Like that's it. Like the movie's great. So definitely, if you haven't seen it, I mean, obviously you watched the spoiler section where I talked about a couple things here. So definitely check it out. It's amazing. It's amazing. The Snyder Cut is real. It exists, and it's amazing. So thank you guys all for watching this, and I will see you all next time.